Hi everybody, I'm Mike.
And I'm Austin.
Today we're talking about the next stage in the deployment cycles, and it is the redeployment stage. So the first part of the redeployment stage is the anticipation of homecoming and also excitement. Basically, you're getting towards the end of the deployment. This can be about months 5 through 6. Basically, you're over the hump and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The time's drawing near, and you're honestly excited. You haven't seen your significant other or family member in such a long time, and you're just getting ready for them to come home, and the overwhelming emotions are getting you ready to just say, hey, I can't wait to have my family member come back home.
Yeah, but with that excitement, there's also going to be a little bit of apprehension. And what I mean by that is, if you recall, during the sustainment phase of the deployment, there's a lot of independence and confidence and new routines established, and the spouse is making decisions on their own. And so one of the things that might pop up is a worry if the soldier will agree with those decisions that were made while they were gone, and if you made the right decision. So that confidence maybe starts to go down, or maybe there's a little bit of worry about giving up the independence. Maybe you become comfortable with that, and you're not entirely sure you want to just give it up immediately. How are you going to ease back into that? Maybe you've changed a little bit while your spouse has been gone. Maybe your spouse has changed, the soldier. Maybe you have a child who grew up and your child's not going to recognize the soldier immediately. How are these things that are going to work? Are those things that you want to deal with? Because all those things are going to bring some new stress, and that's where that sense of apprehension comes in. But luckily that's not going to be the only emotion you feel. As we talked about the excitement, there also comes another aspect following that.
And one thing we haven't really touched on during these podcasts, but I do want to make it known, is that it's not only the spouse or the significant other that goes through this, but it's also children, it's also extended family, parents, close relatives. They all go through these stages, and each member is kind of dealing with it in a different way, but a lot of them are going through these cycles. So, for the soldier, their parents, in addition to their spouse, in addition to their children, any other close relatives, even occasionally close friends, are all going through these stages. So they're all going through it in different ways, but each member is feeling, this anticipation, but also this apprehension, because there is that divide now between, they've deployed, they've changed, they've gone through this experience that I understand how to relate with, but I don't necessarily know exactly what they went through. You know the part you went through without understanding the part they went through, and vice versa. So there is going to be that tension when they come back, but we'll get into that in the next video.
Yeah, and there's also been some major life events that have been missed on both sides that you had to live through without the other, and so maybe you're a little bit worried you won't be able to connect on those major events, but it is important to talk about them. Be excited about sharing those stories, those birthdays, those celebrations, those holidays, whatever. Share what happened on your side, so that way that becomes a shared memory and something you can bond over. And now you have two different stories that you can share about the same thing, which is actually pretty cool and exciting. Which leads into something else that happens during this phase, which is that you tend to feel these bursts of energy, and there's usually a fluctuation between that excitement and that apprehension, where it's going back and forth, kind of riding that roller coaster of emotions. And then as it gets closer and closer, you're going to have more difficulty making decisions, because you're not entirely sure if you should make that decision without your spouse, or if maybe you hold off a little bit until they get back, until that soldier gets back, and maybe you just end up not making any decisions at all. And what we kind of recommend here is that you don't do that, and the best way to avoid that is those conversations you have before the deployment, where you clearly outline the decisions that you're comfortable having your spouse make completely without discussing. Then there's other things where maybe you want a phone call to talk about it or write it over a letter before you make that decision. And then you have those things that you both decided, we want both inputs on this. So that way there's not that uncertainty of, am I making the right decision? Should I wait until I make this decision? Because you've already established kind of what right looks like for you guys. And typically this period lasts about the last month or two of the deployment until that soldier gets back, because both the family and the soldier is going to know that it's getting close to that time they're coming home, and these emotions are going to be felt by both parties. And so we just, again, rely on that social support, clear communication beforehand, and reaching out to other soldiers that have deployed, discuss how they've gotten through these, and kind of figure out how you can incorporate that into your life. And then in our last podcast, following this one, we'll be talking about the post-deployment after the soldier returns, because it's not just all simple, oh, we're happy the soldier's back. There are those own sets of emotions that come with that. So, see you then.